Well, welcome to this edition of Chit Chat with Bmac. I'm your host, Brandon McMillan. Today I've got a great guest with me with over 24 years at the helm at Risco High School for high school baseball, basketball combined with over 350 wins. I got Coach Blankenship with me. How you doing, Coach?
Hey, thanks, Bmac. Man, appreciate it. Doing great.
So, busy summer, I guess?
Yeah, pretty busy. Not as busy as usual because I was not coaching baseball.
Okay.
But, we got our summer basketball in, went on a vacation. Went to L.A. for our vacation,
Wow.
So it was a nice family trip.
How'd you like that?
That was a different experience. Yeah, L.A. was it was cool, though.
Yeah.
Went to a Red Clay Strays concert while we were out there and a
Okay.
Dodgers game and
Yeah.
went to an Anaheim Angels game. So,
Nice.
So tried to pack a lot of – saw the Hollywood stuff.
Yeah.
So it's
So a
pretty
nice
cool.
place to visit just when we live there, huh?
Yes. It's
Little faster speed than Risco, huh?
It is, and they talk about LA traffic being, and it was pretty, it was pretty intense at times. We rented a car out there and drove around. Now I will say though that people would it was kind of odd. People would let you over, and didn't really ride your bumper. I'm like, maybe there is something to this laid back LA lifestyle.
Yeah.
So it was a fun experience.
So obviously here, this time of recording, the school year just started. So, been a principal for the past 12, 14 years now. So you got that going on. Tell a little bit about, just your life growing up and, where you grew up and, childhood, that kind of thing. Just let us know a little bit about yourself.
Grew up in Parma.
Yeah.
So Parma, Missouri, Parma Pirate, only child. So mom and dad were pretty young when I was born. So just us. And, man, this is kind of cool. They took me everywhere. And so they were big Hank Williams Jr. fans, like huge Hank Williams Jr. fans, 80s. That's
sure.
prime Hank.
Sure.
And I started going to Hank Williams Jr. concerts at about the age of 3. And by the age of 10, I'd been to about probably 10 or 12.
Yeah.
So that's always been a big part.
I remember a few from the J.C. Boot Hill Rodeo days when they had acts that I recognized.
Mm-hmm.
That was probably pretty wild at 3 to 10 years old.
Yes, in the 80s, and the 80s were a different time,
Yeah.
So yeah, but that was a lot of fond memories and just a lot of good experiences and just going with my parents, and then obviously sports was just a huge part of our lives. Just involved in any and everything sports wise that we could. And then dad was coaching a lot. He was our Little League coach and Little League basketball coach, Little League football coach. We kind of did it all. And they was just always a part of, and mom too. Mom was right there at everything. And so we just did everything together as a family kind of thing.
Yeah.
And went to Parma through the 5th grade. And then when I started 6th grade, I started down at Risco.
Okay.
Transferred there, was at Risco. Got to play for Roy Hahn, which was cool in elementary ball at Risco as a 6th grader, and then 7th and 8th grade. And it was kind of one of those deals where mom graduated from Parma, dad graduated from Matthews, and so they both had that small school type experience. And I think they kind of, they let me decide to go there to Risco, but and Risco was kind of a throwback, with the small school atmosphere. It's kind of more what they were used to when they were in school, and so it was just a great experience there. I didn't end up graduating from Risco though. Went through to the first part of my junior year, and then I transferred to New Madrid.
Okay, so Coach, talk a little bit about, you mentioned sports, a big part of your life, obviously, still big part of your life. Talk a little bit about your playing days.
Yeah.
Kind of the success. I know that you played next level ball, and so just talk a little bit about high school.
Yeah. So Risco was my introduction to high school. We actually, junior high, we won the 8th grade conference championship.
Oh, yeah.
And we beat Gideon, who was undefeated for 2 years in a row and just kind of ran the table with everybody. And that was, that's one of those moments that kind of really gets you hooked.
Yeah.
Like you pull off that upset and you're like, this is awesome. And so going into high school, and then my freshman year, we won districts my freshman year for the first time in school history. That's the David Duckworth.
Oh yeah,
the
shot heard around the world,
and at least around the Tri-County and the Boot Hill anyway. But no, getting to be a part of that and see that up close and personal. My son, and that was with Coach Early. Wayne Early was was a great influence, great coach. Had been around a lot of different schools, and he was just a really good guy.
Yeah,
and a good coach.
So fast forward on. So you had a little success at Risco, and then you switch up a little bit, go to New Madrid, a little bigger school, a little bigger, a little different environment as far as school size and so forth. So did you? Was you getting more looks? I mean, I know you played 2 sports in higher level.
I did.
Right? Yeah. So you felt like you got more looks at the bigger school at that time, or what was kind of in the decision process as far as leaving Risco and going to Madrid?
Yeah. No. I mean, my sophomore year was I got to play varsity as a sophomore and had a lot of success there, and our team was solid. Maybe we underachieved a little bit because we had some good seniors. On our team, but I don't know. We just seemed to never get it together. Scotty Blackburn was our coach. It was his first year there, and Scotty's a great guy. We stay in touch, and I always enjoyed playing for Scotty. And it was just one of those things where I don't know. Coach McFerrin was at New Madrid.
Yeah,
and that was his Coach Mac. Yeah. That was his second year, I guess, at New Madrid. Was my junior year, and I transferred about in October, and the chance to play for him was a huge draw.
Sure.
The chance for just more competition and just more I guess exposure. Now the thing was I really didn't have a lot of necessarily nobody's beating down the door to find a 5'9" lefty guy, but Coach Mack always, puts you through the challenges, especially as a coach, on a daily basis, but also with the schedule that he always puts together. Mm-hmm. I mean, I went from playing, this is no knock on any of these schools, but I went from playing, Delta C7 in Southland to playing Cardinal Ritter and Seagoville, Texas, and, Tulsa McLean. And then, I mean, that's a completely different world. And so getting the opportunity to do that was pretty big. And, so coming out of high school, it wasn't like I was necessarily being recruited or scouted. Coach Pixley, Aaron Pixley, was our baseball coach. Yep. And I had a good year pitching and hitting, actually. And he had Oakland City, which is where he went to college. He had them come and look at me. And I had a real good day. We played Sykeston that day, and they said that they wanted me. It wasn't going to be scholarship money available at the time, but they said I could work into it. But they said I had a spot. And I don't know, it was just maybe at the time I was young, 17 actually. Yeah. I mean, I didn't turn 18 until August of after my senior year. And so, I just being that young, I didn't necessarily want to go off that far by myself. And so one of my buddies, actually, that was on my high school team at New Madrid, he was just really working hard trying to find a place to play, and he got hooked up with Hannibal LaGrange College, and he called me pretty late, in May, and was like, "Have you got a place to play yet?" And I was like, "No," and he said, "Man, come up here." He said, he said, "If I got on here, you can get on here." And so I went up for the tryout, and they liked me for baseball. They signed me for baseball. Yeah. And then I said, "Well, I play basketball too." And they're like, "Yeah, we don't really think you're what they're looking for." And I said, "Why?" Because I'm 5'9", and so I talked to Coach Mack, and he sent him a tape, and then vouched for me. So started on a JV basketball scholarship and a partial baseball scholarship.
Okay.
And so played JV basketball there for a year, and then going into my sophomore year. And it's, at college, it's kind of weird because it's not really like the JV is a feeder system for the varsity. I mean, the JV is kind of its own separate entity, and they, when they recruit, they're recruiting for varsity players, and there's not necessarily a lot of moving up from the JV kind of thing, but just situations worked out right for me, and sophomore year got moved up to varsity, and just kind of got
so you got to play all 4 years, both
got to play both sports all 4 years.
Wow.
Just kind of got hold of a role and wouldn't let go of it, kind of thing. You know, kind of fell into like a backup point guard kind of deal, and you know, got a little bit more scholarship money the next year because the coach was happy with my work and my effort, and so. And then by senior year, I was one of the team captains on the varsity basketball team. And
I think that's awesome because there's so much emphasis, and I think it's changing somewhat now. But there was so much emphasis, when I was growing up, and a little bit older than you, that if you didn't go D1, you didn't really go. There wasn't a whole lot of, I guess, prestigiousness or whatever the correct term would be for like JUCO or even a smaller division school. Where I'm in the camp now is that if you can play, you've put that amount of work into whatever sport you're playing, whether you play girls softball or you play baseball or basketball or whatever. If you can play next level and get an education paid for, go play.
Right.
You know, and so I mean that's a great story. Obviously, the lessons learned along the way kind of puts you in a position to have eventually the success that you've had in the high school coaching level.
Right, absolutely. I mean, you can't put a price tag, and I always say this, like, no matter what situation that I have a player in, whether you're a starter and a main focus guy, or whether you're just a role player, or whether you're, maybe a senior who's coming off the bench, I've actually done that myself. I've been in their shoes in just about every situation, and so that's really helped me.
Kind of that mindset. I'm not going to ask you to do something I haven't done.
Right.
And then the kids see that and buy into that, and that carries a lot of weight.
I do want to say this about Hannibal LaGrange too. I got the opportunity to play with Robert Joseph, and so may not be a household name to a lot of people, but Robert Joseph was. He was All-American for us. He was 6'7", guy from Haiti.
Okay.
And so, but Robert transferred going into what was our senior year. So I got to play with Robert for 2 years. But going into our senior year, he transferred to Union.
Okay.
In Jackson, Tennessee, and then so he had to sit out a year. Well, that following season, Robert set the shot block record for all all college divisions.
Okay.
Yeah, and David Robinson had the record previously. Robert broke the record in the single season block shot record. And then Robert went on to play professionally in Spain, and which is I think it's considered like the second level behind the NBA.
Right.
So
the European League.
Yeah. So I mean, just getting to play with that caliber of talented guys was really neat.
Wow. So we're gonna get more into the coaching, and the Tigers, and but like what outside of sports, which I know consumes a lot of your time, and what do you like to do?
Probably my favorite thing to do is music related.
Okay.
I would say if I wasn't coaching, it would be something within the music business. If I could do that, I play guitar. And write songs. And we've got a family band too. Dad's kind of front man of a family band. Hired Hand is our band name, and I mean I absolutely love to do that.
So when did you start playing? When you were old enough to hold one?
Yeah, well, no. I mean, Dad knew how to play.
Yeah.
And I tried when I was like 11 or 12, but I don't know. I wasn't catching on.
Wasn't quite there yet.
What was cool was when I was about 15, some of my buddies at Risco, we all started kind of playing at the same time, and so it was neat because we were pushing each other like.
Competition always makes it better, right?
Yeah, when we would come back together, it was like, what'd you learn last week?
Yeah.
So you had to have something.
Oh, yeah.
And so we were kind of learning together and pushing each other. So that.
Okay.
So about 14 or 15 was when I really got interested in it.
So what type of genre? You play all different types, or would you like to play all different types, or kind of what's your influences?
Yeah, I mean, when we play shows, I mean, it's a lot of classic rock stuff. It's a lot of, we do some country. We do some Americana, like red dirt type stuff. So so that's typically
all right.
Where we fall.
So I told you to kind of think about this off camera before and hopefully you got a good one. But I'm interested. I asked this pretty much for every guest, but something interesting. Maybe people don't know about you. Maybe your players don't know about you. That you could tell them, be like, I didn't know that about Coach.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Being this is one kind of funny one, I think. So my wife and I met at college.
Yeah.
And at Hannibal Grange Christian College, and she's from Southern Illinois. But we actually met at a dance club called Boogie Nights.
Boogie Nights
in Hannibal, and it was completely illegal for the college kids to go there. It's kind of off limits, but we would all sneak down there.
Yeah, of course.
College kids, and we'd go to this dance club, Boogie Nights. So I think that would be one that most of my players would be like, "What, Coach? What are you doing in a dance club?" So yeah, that's where we met.
Oh, that's great.
So.
That's great. All right, Coach. So you've been a professional educator for 24 years now. Tell us a little bit. How did you get into education? Why was it something as a young man that you decided this is the direction I want to go?
Yeah, just growing up, I had great teachers just all the way through. I mean, I can think back to just about each year of school. Just having really, really good teachers and really good teachers that just you could tell cared about you. But also pushed you to be at your best as well. So that was a huge part of it. But then, my dad, and it's kind of probably more going into coaching, but my dad was a huge influence, but not only on me, on just so many kids in the community, in Parma in particular. I mean, Dad didn't just start coaching when I was coming through. I mean, he started well before, I was ever old enough to play anything. And
I know, like a mutual friend of ours, David Duckworth, talks highly of your dad. Of his early playing days. Who was another individual that went on and played a little bit of college ball.
Right.
And so he talks about Terry as being an early influence on him.
Yeah, and
there was a lot of them.
Right.
A lot of you guys there.
Right, and I could, even when I was 7, 8 years old, I could see the relationship that Dad had with his players, and it wasn't just coaching on the field. It was coaching about life. It was being involved in their lives as well. And I just seen the impact that he had. Especially, there was a lot of guys who maybe didn't have a father at home or didn't have that type of influence. And I saw what Dad was able to do and able to impact for them. And I mean, for me, there was really never a plan B.
Yeah.
It was always... It
was kind of a family business.
Yeah. I mean, it was always, coaching is what I want to do.
Yeah.
And so, being an educator was just the way to get to coaching.
Right. So do you now, of course, you've been in school, you've been a principal now at Risco for 12 years now?
12 years, yes.
12 years now. So talk about kind of making that leap from the physical educator who was coaching everything to taking on this new role of administration.
Right. When I put in for it, I really thought I wanted to be a high school principal, high school administrator. And I was, but they put me in the elementary, and I was like, I don't know about this, because I dealt with the junior high school kids, with coaching. And, man, I absolutely love the elementary principal job. I mean, I really do. I think it's so important foundationally, because you got to get that part of the education process right for the kids to have a good foundation, to go forward. And so, I mean, and we take a lot of pride in that at our school, and our school has actually done really well, especially over the last, 8 to 10 years about the growth that we've made educationally. And so I'm really proud of that, really proud of the teachers. We just have some awesome teachers there. But, man, getting to see those younger kids, each day, and getting to see them just develop and grow, and they can some days are or a circus every once in a while, but man, most days are just are really great.
Yeah, well, that's a great lead into my next question. Is obviously dealing with that many young people, I know my wife's an elementary teacher. There's challenges every day, but if you could come home and describe, man, that was the perfect educator day, what would that look like?
Yeah. And we talk about this a lot too. We talk about having kids, like, I don't know, embrace the struggle, because with growth there's going to be growing pains, and so anytime your kids are growing, it's like when they get it and when they see that aha moment, or when, because the way society is now, I mean, everybody wants things so easy,
right.
And they want some things to be just spoon-fed, but when you see a kid work through something, work through a struggle, and then come out on the other side and they've got it, that's the really good days.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not necessarily about everything running smooth.
Mm-hmm.
It's about just seeing that production from a kid,
Absolutely.
And a kid get to a spot where they maybe didn't even think they could get.
So switching back to coaching, let's chat about some of the challenges as a coach that are maybe an issue today that maybe weren't when you were playing.
Yeah. I think about like social media.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously we didn't have that, but and some parts with social media that I was thinking about was like I didn't know a whole lot about the other teams when we were playing.
Mm-hmm.
You might know if they had a stud or something, but
yeah.
I mean, we really didn't know a whole lot about the other guys.
Going to find out when we hit the court or hit the field.
Yeah, or know their names or anything about it.
Yeah.
I mean, these kids, they already know everybody. They already know, who's good, who's not good, kind of thing. And so, yeah. So, but I think that becomes a hindrance sometimes because, kids will already get it in their head. Well, we're not going to win this.
Yeah, they're looking down the schedule like, well, that could be a possible win. We ain't winning there. That could be, because they already got all the history, all the players.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so to me, the mental game now is such you got to fight against a lot of that stuff,
Mm-hmm.
And so that's one thing I think. And then, and I'm not good with this either, but like the promoting your brand kind of deal. I mean, I know that's big, and there's a lot of coaches that do it and do it well.
Yeah.
We don't do it a whole lot. I mean, I'm not a coach that's posting after every single game.
Yeah.
And I mean, if we win a championship or if we,
Sure.
do something big, we're doing that. But and I know, there's a lot of coaches that are doing it just to, promote their student athletes and things. And so I'm not knocking anybody that does it. I'm just not one of those guys. I don't know. I guess I'm too old to do that. But
yeah, I mean, it's a heavily technology-driven society, and I think maybe that could be a possibility to counteract something like what you were talking about, like where they already got all this information. But if they're getting the right information,
right,
and maybe that branding process is part of it. I mean, I don't know. I'm kind of like you. I'm old school, and it's all new to me. But I've gotten a little bit into it, with kids of my own playing sports and stuff, and following all their social media teams, their team posts and things like that. But so one of the things that I've always admired about the Risco Tigers and you being at the helm is that your kids have always played hard. They're always hustlers. Mm-hmm. They're always, regardless of what type of season it might be, talent-wise, the kids always play hard.
Yeah.
And, in any time that you notice that, I mean, that's a team that you want, buy a ticket and go watch. But I guess my question to you is to make that consistent season after season, kind of what is your philosophy? How do you go about getting the best out of the kids or helping them be the best version of themselves?
Right. And I mean, you just have to kind of not compromise on your standards, no matter whether, like you said, whether you're just super talented one year or whether it's maybe a struggle, but you got to try to keep the same standards. Like, so, I mean, and you learn and grow as a coach too. We've tried to ramp up our conditioning, our preseason conditioning, and we've kind of got it now to a spot where we feel really good about, how we're prepping kids to start the season. I don't know. I mean, I always had to be a grinder, just to play at college. I mean, I had to be the guy that was really pushing it. I used to always tell this story to my guys. Most of I'm 5'9", right? 5'10", and I always lied and said I was 5'10" in the program, but
better than 6'4",
right,
like some of them,
right? And so at college, we'd have 6'4", 6'5" guys that are just long, athletic, can tear the rim down, and I would consistently be first, second in sprints until coach would get mad at everybody for effort and be like, "You guys are not working hard. Everybody on the line, if you don't run this hard." And then when those type guys would put out, I'd be next to last.
Yeah.
And so I felt like I always had to just scrap and claw just to kind of keep up.
Yeah.
Especially playing at that level. And so, I don't know, that's kind of always the way I've approached coaching. Hey, you've got to do this all the time.
Yeah.
And so so I think just maybe part of my personality, but then just having those expectations, and then you figure out, we time just about everything we do at practice.
Yeah. Set those expectations.
It's like, hey, you gotta meet this. So I don't know. And then I try to always too explain the why to kids. I try to explain not just what I want you to do, but this is what I want you to do, and this is why we want you to do it, and this is why it works. And I think when kids when it makes sense to them, I think they respond to that better too. So yeah. I think that helps.
Well, and it's also productive to the student athlete as well, is that when it's explained to them like that, when they might have something else in mind. Well, okay. Well, I understand, Coach. Yeah.
Yeah.
And or it's almost difficult maybe for some of those hard-headed ones to say, well, and then when they say it, like, if I say it out loud, that ain't going to make sense. He's right. I should just,
Well, and we didn't always get it explained to us. Our coaches were like, "You just do it because I said so."
Just some yellers growing up, and then I had others that would take the time to like you say, be more methodical about it.
Yeah.
And I think, just like we were talking about, technology and the kids today and how they process information and so much information, and I think that's kind of what it takes.
Yeah.
It takes to communicate with kids. We were talking. I forget with someone earlier this season about kids are just kids, and I think that's true to a certain extent. But I think it also the generation after generation, it somewhat changes on how we learn,
right?
And how we learn and how it's explained to them. So most definitely. So we'll go into this the next segment. I want you to talk a little bit about your 2024-25 Tigers.
Yeah. And that was kind of that was really a 3-year process for that bunch that culminated with that season. We had virtually the same team there 2 or 3 years in a row. Mm-hmm. So that team, you could see them just building and growing and hitting, physically developing, into young men. And so we were talking about it today at school. I was talking about it with one of my assistant coaches, and it was like, it kind of seemed surreal. It was kind of hard to step back even in the moment to really enjoy it, because it felt like just this wave that you were kind of riding,
mm-hmm.
And then we knew the team we had last year, and so we had lofty expectations. It was really, we really felt like the Final Four was the goal.
Yeah.
The end goal. And you always say that every year, but some years you're kind of realistic in the back of your mind, like, but we really felt like we had the team that could bust through and get there, get it done. And so there were a lot of games that we going into it. We kind of, we're probably going to win this one. We should roll, but you never want to have those letdowns.
Yeah.
You always want to keep pushing.
That's a question I'd like to ask coaches. When you have a bunch of thoroughbreds, right? When you have a team like that all the side roles are filled, the main roles are filled, everybody kind of knows their job, everybody, it's a kind of a well-oiled machine. I mean, that's kind of what I looked at the Tigers last year. How do you keep those, or I don't have to keep them motivated. They motivate themselves. But like on those games where you knew, okay, it's going to be a time clock. How do you keep the kids engaged there? Yeah,
I mean, and I wasn't big about trying to say you got to set a defensive goal and hold a certain team under. It's just, again, just keeping that standard. I mean, the kids know what you expect, and just being real with them, like, hey, you can get by in this game by doing X, Y, and Z, but is that going to help you for
the next week game?
The next week's
it might
game?
Be a different situation.
Yes. So you're not playing this game, this Tri-County game, for example. You're not playing this game for tonight. You're playing this game. So what's going to help you down the road? So I mean that was one of the big messages we would give to them. Of course, the Stoddard County was tough on us last year, too, because we lost to Bernie early and lost to Dexter.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, and then trying to challenge them too. We try to play. You have to play your conference games. You have to do all that, but we try to make our non-conference schedule as tough as we can. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. If you were to pick something out from last season to move forward into this season, something maybe, all right, that's something I really got to apply going forward. I mean, what would that be?
Yeah, that was kind of a tough one, tough question. But, at the end of the day, I think we can look back on that and go, I mean, we really were, probably the second best team in the state in Class 1.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I think that's something that we can really hang our hat on and go, for the guys returning, hey, look at the level that you competed at last year.
It's possible.
It is possible. And, and of course, graduation happens. And, I mean, we lost a lot.
Sure.
And we lost 6 seniors.
Yeah.
And, for any school, 6 seniors that played.
Yeah.
That's tough.
Yeah, it's tough shoes to fill. Yeah.
It is, but you know what you have coming back to, and those guys, know the expectation level. They know the goal. The goal is this. It's going to be the same, like we said.
Yeah.
You want to get back to. You got a little taste of so close to being there, and you want to get right back to that level. And that was the message I told the guys. I said I think we can get right back to this same game. This next year. So.
Yeah. So speaking of taste, Risco Tigers got a taste of the Bloomfield Christmas tournament. Talk a little bit about that experience this past season.
Again, talking about it just being surreal.
Yeah.
Because I grew up going to that tournament. I mean, some of my favorite memories of Southeast Missouri basketball is Portageville and Bernie.
Yeah.
And just the packed house and not even being able to find a seat, and going with my dad. Yeah. And Dad always posted up there right behind the benches. Every year, and all what it said my entire coaching career, man, I'd love to coach in that. And I'd every chance I could get, I'd tell Jason Carnes, hey, can you get us in? And so just getting that opportunity was huge. It was huge for me. The day that we were told we were going to get in, we. Our kids had no idea. I mean, because it wasn't anything that was on the radar.
Right.
And, or, you have your schedule set months in advance, and called them into the locker room. I think they all thought they were in trouble because it was an odd deal odd timing when we called them in. And we told them, and it was literally like we had won a championship. I mean, they just started jumping up and down and hugging each other and high-fiving. It was pretty awesome.
Well, yeah, I mean, for that group especially, the senior group especially, I mean, what an addition to your senior year and your basketball season is get to play in that tournament.
Yeah.
You guys made a great showing first year. I thought it was, just came up a little bit short. I believe it was again the Dexter game.
Yeah.
And but continued to impress throughout the season, and then just Chadwick, man, they had a pretty decent player.
Yeah.
And had a couple good players, but I mean, Clayton Garrison was I think one of the top players probably in the class, if not the top player in the class. But, exciting team to watch, great basketball. And, nothing those seniors should hang their head about. What was some of the accomplishments that maybe that senior class pulled off last year?
Yeah, I mean, so it's the most wins in school history. We won 27 games, 27-3. We went back-to-back on the Clarkton Holiday Tournament, which was nice. It was nice the year before. CJ, my son, was a senior the year before.
Yeah.
And
that was when they defeated that talented Malden team
Malden
that won the Bloomfield Christmas tournament that year.
Yeah, we beat Malden in overtime in the semifinals, which really, that was just a great moment and great to experience that with my son.
Yeah.
And then the next night came back and beat Portageville in a close one, a real good game. And so that was a blast. Winning that back-to-back years, winning the conference back-to-back years, kind of rolling through that.
The last two seasons was the last game, both levels, both semifinal. Was that what, or did you guys play? You played Chadwick twice. No, Richland.
No, Richland did. Yeah,
Richland the junior year, and then Chadwick the senior. But you got a game closer in the Chadwick game as opposed to the Richland game, right?
Right. Well, I guess 2 games closer because we lost in the district championship to Richland. Because
that's right.
We're kind of on that line to where they move us north sometimes, they move us south, and so we were in the same district 2 years ago when they were juniors. We were in the same district with Richland, and we had beat them a couple weeks prior to that at our place by about 10, and we knew we were just right there, back and forth with them, and then they got to host the district. And so we jumped out. I think that year we jumped out to a quick lead in that one, and then they made a run, and we just didn't get it done that year. And so it sparked those that group of seniors. They were hungry to get back to an opportunity, which we ended up being in the South District.
Yeah,
and so one of the cool things about the season too was, some of it was a little controversial with the conference tournament.
Yeah.
And you always love kids sticking up for each other. You do. You never want to see kids get into an altercation on the court. That's something that, was unfortunate that happened. But, what ended up coming out of that, that team was already close, but I think it even bonded them a little tighter.
Turned them up another notch.
It did, and excuse me, it did, and then the backlash from it. At the time that the skirmish happened on the court, we had Sammy sitting out, and we had Owen Fortner sitting out.
Yep.
And then we had Clayton Gotze. He was out, and so because it was conference tournament, so we had to split our JV. So our JV was playing in the JV portion. So we only were dressing 8 players. Well, they MSHA deemed that they came off the court too far during that, and so they had to sit out. They had to be suspended for the championship game.
Yeah,
which left us with 5 players. But one of the cool moments, and I go back to early on we were talking about my educators in my life that meant a lot to me. My kindergarten teacher is Miss Marilyn Smelser, and she is a Risco Tiger graduate, follows the Tigers. Whether she has family members on the team or not, she's following the Risco Tigers, her and her husband, Mr. Jim. And she called me that next day when found out that those boys were going to be suspended, and then we were only going to get to play with 5. And she said, "I'm asking for permission to do this." She said, "Can I make these signs, these little, on like a popsicle stick, that says pick any 5 and has all the players' numbers?" I was like, that's an awesome flex for my former kindergarten teacher. And so, that wasn't direct. That was just the moment, and the kids loved that, and it got them fired up. And
it's as a Puxico guy, I mean, we had our moment too, where the prove them wrong T-shirts, and so it's fun. It's a battle cry. It's a rally around the kids, and it's turned out good for you guys. Yeah. It turned out good for our boys too.
Right.
So maybe this is a good tie into maybe a few stories maybe you can think of from this group, kind of insider stories that might hopefully you could share.
Yeah. Well, I was trying to think of a few, but of course, telling them about getting in the Bloomfield Christmas tournament. I mean, that was a huge moment, and I wish I would have filmed their reaction to that.
Could have gave the cheerleaders a run for their money.
Right. And this wasn't necessarily last year's same group of guys, but it was the year before. We were going to do like a team bonding thing, and I just happened to stumble upon when the midget wrestling came to Black River Coliseum, and so we took the team over and we watched the midget wrestling. And it was awesome. It really was. There was one particular midget there that would, get the crowd involved and stuff, and he was hitting guys with chairs, and he'd yell "Uno mas, Uno mas," and so that kind of came one of our rallying cries, Okay. So that was funny. There's a couple things probably don't need to be shared that was pretty hysterical. One, and then, I don't know, this is not even this is just a little goofy thing, but we had a freshman last year that was first time he'd ever played, kind of a bigger kid, really shy, but kind of broke out of his comfort zone a little bit. But it was at the Bloomfield Christmas tournament, and you know how the water coolers are down. They're not at the end of the bench; they're down by the scorer's table.
Right.
And so during one of the timeouts, he was helping get some of the water. Well, the buzzer goes off, and everybody sits down on the bench, and he never moved from down on my end of the bench. So he's behind me, and he's just kind of standing there. Well, that's where you send subs into the game.
Yeah.
And he's too shy and too nervous to walk out onto the court and go sit down. And so and he's about 6'4", 6'3", and so I kept feeling this presence behind me, and I'm coaching, and it's an intense moment, and I'm like, what is he doing? And I say, he's not going in, right? Because my assistant coach was, and he's like, sit down, telling the kid to sit down. So just little goofy things like that. But.
Sure, yeah. So obviously the last couple of years has set the bar high for your program. So give us a little insight to this coming season and what your expectations are. I mean, I know you've got your thoughts of where you could be, but
right.
just kind of what you're expecting this year.
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, we do bring back our second and third leading scorers, and that's to be able to say that is a pretty big deal, especially when you lose that many seniors. We've got some roles that need to be filled, and it's going to be, we've had that group has played varsity. The group that graduated last year had played varsity, even their freshman year, to some extent. And so we kind of had that same core group for 3 or 4 years. And so we've got about half of that or a third of that core group, still there. And so it's going to be fun for me to figure out, how to get this group now to go, with the focal point to be on, our couple of seniors that, Fortner and Rogers, Eli Rogers. And so it's going to be fun to figure out, what pieces need to complement that. And, we've got a lot of work to do, and every coach would say that at this point,
right.
But yeah, I mean, I want them to stay confident. I don't want them to, we can't look at the past. You can't rest on what last year's team did.
Right.
You gotta, this team's got to make its own way. And so, we're going to play hard, we're going to scrap.
It catches fire for you, like some of the other programs in the area and some other classes that have had some success, and it seems to be fueling the younger generations to work harder and do these things and put the commitment forward and the work forward, not only on the floor but in the field, but in the classroom and, so forth. So hopefully that happens for the Tigers as well this season. All right, Coach Blankenship. So this is our last segment of the show. This is the game we like to play called Versus. All right, so the idea, Coach, like classic example I always use, Michael Jordan versus LeBron James. Who you picking and why? So I've come up with a very special list based off your likes and maybe even some dislikes.
Okay.
The Eagles versus Leonard Skinner.
Man, that's tough. Can I do a 1A, 1B kind of deal? No, I love the Eagles. I love just that classic rock sound, that laid back, the acoustic guitars and stuff. But, Leonard Skinner too. I mean, that's just the songwriting. Well, for both groups, really, the songwriting. I've been to, concerts is one of the things I love to do. Yeah. And so I've seen actually both of them multiple times. Oh, man, if I had to pick, I'd probably go with the Eagles overall, I think.
Well, there's really no wrong answer.
Yeah.
They're your answers.
Yeah, I know. It's just I on that one, I would not want to have to pick.
Right. Well, it doesn't get any easier.
Okay.
So, obviously, based on what the input that you gave me, you're a Celtics fan.
Yes.
So we're going to go with Larry Legend versus Bill Russell.
Growing up in the 80s, or, 80s and 90s, Larry Bird was it for us. That run through the 80s, and I just love Bird's all around game. I loved, I always loved to pass. And I think that came from watching Bird, and just wanting to try to emulate that kind of game. Yeah. Now you talk about Russell, he's the ultimate winner, right? And the ultimate competitor, and just a defensive menace. Yeah. I like Bird's trash talk too.
Oh, that was what I was getting ready to say, that later on, kind of after his playing career, then you really kind of got, when they would do a lot of these interviews on ESPN and stuff, then you really kind of got into the psyche of Larry Bird and how he would just, I love the story. I can't remember what player was talking about it, but he was telling the player, I'm going to shoot the ball right here. Right. Right here is where I'm going to shoot it. And then, my gosh, that's where he goes and he shoots the ball,
Yeah. And just that level of confidence, just that ultimate confidence. So,
absolutely.
I got to go with Bird.
All right, so you've already told us, that you're a musician, you love to play, and so I asked you, okay, what's your favorite guitars? So if we're going to go with the Guild G45, which was made famous by Hank Williams Jr., or the Gibson ES 335, Chuck Berry. Yeah. Okay, money's not an option. I mean, money's not. It's unlimited. Which one are we going to take?
Right. Since I prefer probably to sit down with an acoustic guitar. I mean, I just do. Because, you don't have to have an amp. You can just go out on the back porch and, sit there and play. And I love to do that. And for Hank Williams Jr. shows, I always loved that portion of the show where he would come out and just do the acoustic set. Yep. And I just love the sound he would get, out of his guitar. Yeah. But that Chuck Berry is just a classic. It's a classic one. Yeah.
They're very both distinct, and I agree. I like the acoustic sound. Yeah. All right, so two of my favorites too, but I asked you about a couple ball players. So the Machine, Albert Pujols, versus the Wizard, Ozzie Smith.
Right. Well, neither one of them were technically a lifetime Cardinal, right? True. Right. But, Ozzie feels like more of a lifetime Cardinal because nobody remembers his Padres.
His stint with the Padres.
Yeah, nobody really.
Or getting drafted by the Padres.
Yeah, nobody worries about that too much.
I think I might have a couple baseball cards of him as a Padre.
Yeah. Well, just, again, that takes me back to childhood. That takes me back to going to Cardinal games as a 8, 9, 10-year-old, and Ozzie who does backflips? Yeah. Ozzie, that's so cool.
Such a showman,
right? And what was it, 13 years in a row or 14 years in a row? Mm-hmm. Gold Glove. Yeah. But then as an adult, what Albert did his first 10 years of his career. The only thing I hate is that we let him go to L.A. Yeah. But he brought it full circle, and that was a magical season when he came back.
When he come back and hit 25.
Yeah, that second half of the year was just great. So, you know, and I love Pujols' faith too. That he promotes his faith and
his off the field work and then how he promoted his faith is always admirable too. Yeah, for sure. My favorite player. Time Albert was. All right, so I threw a couple in here. I know you're just dying to answer this one, but the Los Angeles Lakers versus the Kansas Jayhawks.
Yeah. So the teams we love to hate, right? Teams we love to hate on. No, you know, being a Celtics fan growing up, that Celtics Lakers rivalry, it was always could not stand the Lakers. You know, anything Kareem running around. I thought Kareem looked like an alien with those goggles on. And, hated Kurt Rambis and Byron Scott and all those guys. Magic, for sure. Yeah. And so I have a much deeper appreciation now for Magic, though. Yeah. And then when Magic and Bird, got together and their friendship that came out of that. The Kansas Jayhawks deal is kind of new, and it's new because CJ's going to Mizzou now. Okay. And so just for him – we have to hate Kansas. Kansas now. And as CJ said that at the Mizzou football games, that they say some things towards Kansas. Yeah. Even when they're playing other teams. Like the whole crowd is chanting stuff at Kansas when they're playing, Texas. Yeah. And I'm like, so that's pretty cool. So we have to be against the Jayhawks now.
Okay. So I don't know if this one was quite on your list, but pretty close. But Westerns versus sci-fi.
Yeah, I think that come off of the movies. Yeah. When you ask about the movies, and I said Tombstone was probably my favorite movie. But I also said the movie Frequency. Mm-hmm. And Frequency is one of those. Have you seen? Have you seen that?
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, and it's got a little sci-fi element into it. I think it's
kind of a fantasy sci-fi kind of vibe. But
and I don't know. For me, that's always been one of my favorites too, with the father-son story in that one. Yeah. And whenever I watch that, I know what's going to happen. Yeah. But I still get tensed. Still gets to you. I still get tensed up in some of those moments. As far as a genre, I would probably say that I'm more in westerns, and then I'm probably more into like the sports movies. Yeah. Field of Dreams and Hoosiers, right? And,
Rudy, all those,
yeah. Sure. But Tombstone, I mean, I quote at school. I probably quote Tombstone and "Oh Brother, Where Art Thou?" Probably every day. Literally. I mean, we talking movie quotes. My family and I, and my coaching staff, Coach Hill and Coach Smith. I mean, we apply those movie lines to about everything that's going on. So it's fun.
Well, here's one I like to ask all coaches. Okay. Because it's trying to put an emphasis to the young people. Talent versus attitude.
I mean, I think it's attitude, really. I mean, because if you don't have – I mean, you can be talented and you can waste your talent, if you have a bad attitude or if you don't have a winning mentality, you can be lazy with your talent. Because that is kind of it's a temptation, because if you already have some ability, you don't feel like you have to work as hard because, I'm already better than, all these guys. Mm-hmm. And so, to be able to use your talent and to be able to get the most out of your talent, I think it's the attitude that has to come first. It's the work ethic. It's the discipline. It's that, mindset of being a great teammate, and just those. So I think those things end up being more important. And you can, as a coach, I think you can take a bunch of guys with great attitudes who love each other, who, want to try to put each other first, and you can beat some teams that are more talented than you that don't have that. That's the attitude thing is like the special sauce. I mean, it's the extra special ingredient, I think.
Yeah, for sure. I agree. All right, so we going to go to Hawaii or Ireland? All expenses paid.
Yeah, all expenses paid. Well, I better say Hawaii because my wife loves the beach. And so she was not real happy that we picked LA to go to this year and not the beach. She likes to go to the beach, and so I probably better say. But I've always been fascinated by like I guess probably watching Braveheart and things that. You see the rolling hills.
I have in my family, of course, Irish descendancy, and so I always thought it would be a neat place to visit. I have been fortunate enough to go to Hawaii, and it's everything that people that have been there tell you that it is. Right. I mean, it's just it's a paradise on earth if there is such a thing. Right?
Yeah. So I better say Hawaii for my wife.
All right, fried squash versus fried potatoes.
Yeah.
You only get one plate, so you only get one scoop of one.
Man, I'll take fried squash. Yeah. I mean, if you slice that squash little thin, and fry it up, man, that's my favorite, bro.
Oh, yeah, that's definitely good. All right, so finishing up, one last basketball one, NBA versus NCAA.
Well, if you'd asked me this question probably 5 years ago and prior to, I probably would have said NCAA.
Okay.
I mean, I was a huge Larry Bird fan coming up, but then, I got to a point where I wasn't watching NBA and it was all about March Madness. Over the past 5 years, I'm going a little sour on college basketball and this NIL stuff and the way that there's no loyalty anymore and the way these guys, just jump from school to school. It's just like I really struggle with that. You know,
it's funny. Since I've got involved last couple of years, I don't even know when we started with A-Corp Sports. I'd rather watch youth sports than anything. I mean, I really would. I'd rather spend if I have the opportunity to watch a pro game or even a college game or whatever, I'd rather just go watch the kids play.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of where I'm at.
I mean, you can't deny the talent at the NBA level, though.
Sure.
I mean, I'm a Celtics fan, but probably I follow the Pacers, and I kind of followed Bird to the Pacers, but because he was GM there for a while or president of basketball operations, I think. But so I was watching the finals, this year with Indiana making the run that they made, and it wasn't the star power, the big names necessarily in the finals, but man, I thought both of those teams really got after it, really played defense. I mean, I was so.
I think the NBA they do play defense in finals,
right? Yeah,
or maybe the playoffs,
right?
But, yeah.
So I was invested in that run. So right now I hate to say it, I'll take a lot of flack for this from my buddies, but I'm probably NBA right now.
Okay.
So
all right, Coach. So thanks so much for doing this.
Yes, sir. Appreciate it. Yeah, thank you.
We hope you've enjoyed this episode. For more ChitChat with Bmac content and episodes, subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on Facebook.